guys, good afternoon. It's Jenny with Esther's Nest. I am here to do a super fast tutorial for you guys on how to achieve that chippy paint look on wood on your little table sign that you may have picked up as a bonus buy this month. So what you would have gotten was your stand, some straight pieces, a couple of round pieces, your large actual stand piece, and then this little baggie of tools. And actually those straight pieces and the round pieces are inside this baggie of tools. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is actually use that dark brown paint that was inside that baggie to give a good solid coat to your stand or the base and the actual stand, and then all of these little pieces as well. Okay, so we just want a good dark coat of that dark brown on these pieces. Now, in the interest of time, I have gone ahead and base coated one down here as well as my base. My base is done. I'm not going to do the chippy paint technique on it. I'm just going to leave it dark brown. My actual table stand is what I'm going to show you how to achieve that chippy paint look today. So I've got the brown paint on here. It's nice and dry. Next, what you're going to do is in your little bag, pull out this little lip gloss container that has the unknown substance in it, and also grab your chip brush that you would have had from a few months ago's kit. We're going to use these two together now, and then after that you're going to follow up with white paint, and then you'll need a paper towel or an old rag to do the last part. So the one thing I told you guys in your instruction sheet is that as far as doing this technique, the easiest way is to use white spray paint. Now, in case you guys didn't have that, then I'm going to go ahead and tell you how to do it with a foam brush and white paint from your kit. But the easiest way to do this is with spray paint. I buy just very cheap Ace brand flat. You always want to get a flat for these projects. White paint, that's all this is. And so I'm going to tell you how to do this really quick. Just so that you know how to do it if you want to do this. If you want to run to Dollar General or whatever and grab a can of this, or you know, your local hardware store, whatever, then you'll be able to do this super fast and easy with this. So go ahead and grab this little container and your chip brush. This is the first part of this after we've base coated with the solid brown. When you open this up, you're going to probably pretty quickly realize what it is. This is just plain old Vaseline, like what you get anywhere. Drugstore, Dollar General, Walmart, whatever. Petroleum jelly. This is what we're going to use on top of the brown. And then when we put the white over top of it and we wipe off the white paint, the areas that this Vaseline is in, that's where you're going to get that chippy paint look, because the paint will not adhere to the top of the Vaseline. So much of this is just going to be personal preference. I will show you how I like to do this, but then you can play around with it and do it however you like. If you want to practice without messing up your first stand, go ahead and do your base. Paint the bottom of it brown as well, and you can practice on the bottom of this, and nobody's going to see it until you figure out exactly how you like the technique. So what I like to do is go ahead and get some Vaseline on your brush. The heavier that you apply the Vaseline, the more chippy your paint is going to look. I prefer to start and go around the edges first. So what I'm going to do is just start up here. I've got that on there, and I'm just going to start brushing that on. I don't necessarily want it to be perfect. I just want it to kind of hit the edges, because that's where it's going to peel first usually. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to apply some down the center. The first time I did this, I probably did not use, see, that's going to be a real chippy area right there. The first time I did this, I probably didn't use enough Vaseline. And when I went back and started pulling the paint off, I got some paint off, but it wasn't as heavy as what I would have liked. So now I know that I need to use more, and I'll just go back and apply more in different areas. This is why it can help to actually practice a little bit, because you're just not going to know what you want until you've tried it. So now I'm just going back and I'm applying some down the center. You can have this as chippy or as non-chippy as you want. If you guys don't want to do the chippy paint technique, just leave it painted brown or paint it all white and you're good to go. I just really love the look of the paint peeling. And so I thought you guys might like to play with this technique this month, and then you will always have your chip brush. You have way more Vaseline in that container than what you need for this project, and who knows, you may feel inspired to cut some wood and try another project of your own. And that's what really I aim to do with these techniques, is to teach you different techniques that you can use on different projects, even on your own in the future. So what I'm going to do now, I can't really spray paint live on camera right here. So I'm going to run to the other side of the table and I'm going to use this and I'm going to spray paint really quick. If you don't want to buy the spray paint and you just want to use what you have on hand at home, you can still achieve this. It's just going to be a little different. So I'm going to show you, actually I'll show you on part of it, how to brush it on, and the other part of it to spray it on. So grab your white paint, put some out on, you know, a paper plate, paper, whatever you have, and get a foam brush or a paintbrush if you want, and get it. So the thing about brushing it on is you're going to have to apply more paint than you normally would, because it's not going to be easy to put it on with that Vaseline on there. So I'm going to get a good amount of paint on my brush and I'm going to real gently start brushing that on. You're also going to have to let it dry and put a couple coats on in between. All right, so it's probably going to take 2 coats and you're going to need to let it dry in between each coat. But this is how you would do it. You would just kind of thickly start to apply it like that, real light strokes, okay? But for the interest of time and because I want you guys to be able to see how this works really fast, I'm going to run around and I'm going to spray paint this. Can you see that Vaseline? I've got it pretty heavily coated. And I'll be back, so hang tight for just 1 second. Always remember to spray paint in a well-ventilated area. For the record, I'm not doing that right now. I'm just holding my breath as I paint over top of this. Okay, I'm going to bring it around and show you what we've got with that coat of paint on there. Okay, can you see all those areas that are like bubbling up? That's where we've applied the Vaseline, girls. Now that is where I had the brush on there. I probably need to smooth that out a little bit more. Probably both techniques is not really the smartest in the same thing, but I just wanted to show you how to brush it on. So I'm going to give this just a few seconds. I'm going to go over and apply one more coat of the spray paint over top of it. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to start wiping it off once it dries a little bit. It'll probably take a few seconds for it to dry. I may have to turn the video off. I don't know. I'm going to go over and put one more coat on, and then we'll see how long it takes it to dry. Okay, we've got 2 coats of spray paint on there. Definitely is going to need a few seconds to dry. So in the meantime, I'm going to tell you to just go ahead and get your paper towel or your rag or whatever out. Doesn't have to be, you definitely don't want something that you're not going to be able to just toss away. after this. But get that out and get that ready, because that's what we're going to use to start wiping. And what it's going to do is it's going to pull the paint off in those areas where the Vaseline was. And we have got so many shadows today. It is so hard when your paint room is in the basement, girls, because I have 3 extra lights on me right now and I've still got shadows everywhere. Okay, so while we're giving this a few seconds to dry, so your base, once you get that painted brown, all you're going to do is glue this top piece onto the bottom piece so that you've got the whole matching, obviously, because that is what is going to go into the bottom of our piece right here. It'll slide in like this, and that's how it'll stand up. These little pieces here, you're going to do the same technique with these and the circles that you did with the stand and the base, okay? You're going to base coat it all brown, then apply the Vaseline on it, and then just like you'll see me do on here, we're going to go back and wipe it off. The biggest thing with these is just that to make it easy, like I've told you guys before, go ahead and just lay out a piece of masking tape and stick them on the masking tape. And that way you're not covering your hands in brown paint, you're not covering your hands in Vaseline while you're trying to do the technique on them. It's just so much easier if you do it that way. Your paint pouch should have been fairly full. There should be enough paint in there to do your base coat of both your stand and these pieces. I always suggest doing a single coat on everything, do a second coat on this, and then gauge if you have enough left to do a second coat on the pieces that are going to get the white paint over top. If you are running short on paint, 1 coat will be plenty on these pieces that are going to get the white coat on top. When your piece is totally done, these pieces will lay right on top. You'll kind of see where they go. So they'll lay right on top of there. This top piece will go on top of here. And these 2 circles, the smallest circle will glue down first to that score mark. The largest circle will glue on top of it. And what that does is it lets that circle stand out a little bit, and it gives it room when you hang your sign on here for your twine to kind of hang on there and not fall off. I know that's all pretty self-explanatory and you guys will figure that out, but I thought while we're waiting on the paint to dry, I could just go ahead and review that really quick. All right, my center section looks fairly dry. So top and bottom aren't totally dry yet, but I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna start wiping on this center section so that you can just see what it looks like for this paint to pull up. So just take your cloth, your rag, whatever you have, apply some pressure and pull. Look at that, you guys. And you can see that all starts to pull up. How cool is that? You instantly have that chippy paint technique. You have that look on there. I absolutely love it. Does this not look like an old piece of barnwood that you found at grandma or grandpa's or whatever? And sometimes you have to give it a little pressure, you know, if there's some on there that just doesn't seem to be pulling up. But you see, as I go back over it, I can pull up more and more where that Vaseline was. Now, when you get totally done with this, people always ask me about sealing their piece. If you really want to seal your piece, just grab a can. Let me show you what I use. This is what I like, Rust-Oleum Clear Matte Enamel. Okay, always make sure when you grab this that it's a clear versus a white. I can't tell you how many times I have ruined a piece by picking up the wrong stuff at the hardware store. If you start spraying white over the top of this, you're going to ruin your whole piece. If you spray clear, then you're going to seal it, which is what we want to do. I always prefer a matte finish. My paint is always flat paint and my finish is always a matte finish. So when this is all done and dry, if you want to, you can absolutely spray it with this. But if you're going to use your piece indoors, you probably don't need to seal it. So that's it, guys. That is the whole technique. Okay, now this is where I brush that on. You can see I did not let it dry long enough. So if you're going to brush on, definitely let it dry as opposed to where you spray paint. Let it dry longer before you start wiping it off. But everywhere that I've spray painted, you can see it's just coming off where we put the Vaseline on. And you can put as much or as little Vaseline as you want on there. It just depends on the look that you want for your stand. Oh my goodness, I love it. Does this not look adorable? I love it. So my preferred method for this is most definitely spray paint, but it absolutely can be done with the brush. You just have to make sure that you're letting that paint fully dry before you do that. So what I'll do to fix this part here is apply just a little bit more of the Vaseline on there, go over, quickly spray paint over top of that, let it dry just a little bit, and then we will be good to go. Now you can see that it doesn't pull off any of the brown paint. It only pulls off the white paint because the brown paint was completely dry and sealed before you added that Vaseline on top of it. So let me just show you this piece yet again. I love it. And there's still a lot more that we can pull off on there if we want to, but it absolutely looks adorable. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this quick tutorial. I hope that your Thanksgiving signs are everything that you want them to be. I actually just worked up the mock-up of the Christmas piece today, and I will be showing you guys in the next week what your November box will look like. Have a great night, guys.